tonight what you'll see is the order that we put people in is the order that the people responded to the call. It has nothing to do with, whether they're, all school board members are technically independent, but we know that the parties are going to endorse one person or another. So the people sitting are essentially just by the order of the people that responded. And I'm going to introduce them one by one very quickly with a very quick bio. And then I'm going to ask each of them to give us a quick introduction about themselves. And then we will get to the questions and answer. What I will do for those that are in attendance is I have a few questions that I've received from our community members. And I will begin by asking a question, and we'll have each candidate answer the question. They'll have 60 seconds to do so. And we have Taha graciously sitting up here in the front seat. And in the middle, and he will essentially have a card that says, okay, you're running out of time, please stop. And the intent of doing this round-robin style is just to get through as many questions and policy issues as possible as we go forward. Our intent is to conclude the evening at 9:40, which is about an hour and 15 minutes from now. So I think we'll be able to get through about 6 or 7 questions on different elements of policy related to Fairfax County. So first and foremost, we have Sandra Davis, mother of 3 from a military family, has an MA in healthcare administration. We have Brian Metzelbein, former school board member from 2012 to 2019, has 2 kids raised in Virginia. We have Ilyan Moon. Mr. Moon has 2 kids who went through FCPS a while ago, I think, right, Mr. Moon? And first Asian American to be elected to office in Fairfax, including the school board. We have Ahmed Hussein, moved to Fairfax in the 80s, has 2 kids, currently in the FCPS system. Kyle McDaniel, 2 daughters, as a lifelong resident of Fairfax County. Then we have Maureen Brody, former PTA president of Lewis High School, a lifelong county resident. Cassandra O'Coin, 2 children, attended FCPS from a military family and has lived in Northern Virginia since her teens. And Linda Pellegrino, 1 daughter, has been in Fairfax since 1984, served on the Community Action Advisory Board. I'm going to ask Ms. Davis, if we can bring that mic down, I'm sorry, we're going to be passing around mics, to do a quick introduction of herself. Just very quickly, by the way, I'm a graduate of Mount Vernon High School. So I'm a graduate of the Fairfax County public school system, but many, many years ago. Ms. Davis. Yes.
I see it. Thank you. I'm grateful to be here tonight, and thank you all for coming. When schools closed, more parents than usual started watching the school board meetings. I'm sad to say I was one of them that wasn't watching until then. But what parents noticed is that all 12 school board members and the superintendent are all from the same political party. And groups do not function properly when everybody's from the same line of thinking. So I decided to run when I realized that they could use some diversity of thought on the school board.
Thank you. Mr. McElvey. There you go.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is, as you heard, Ryan McElvey. I'm delighted to be with you all tonight. As you heard, I am a proud graduate of Fairfax County Public Schools. I went to Marshall High School, graduated in 2004. After that, I went on to the University of Virginia, Columbia University, before moving back to the area. My day job is working in U.S.-China relations at the Brookings Institution. And I also run a program here in Fairfax County called Global Leaders of Fairfax County. What really kind of brought me back to being interested in serving on the school board after having served for 8 years in the 2010s was that we've seen a very difficult time. The school system goes through a very difficult time over the past 3 or 4 years. We've seen some students really suffer, whether through mental health concerns or through falling behind academically. So I'm running again because it's a time to reset, rebuild, and reorient to take our system forward with a global mindset, with a healthy mindset, and take us onto the future to ensure that our students have the best possible foundation to succeed in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Moon.
as introduced, I'm a former school board member. I had actually retired in 2019 after having served more than 20 years in the school board. And people ask me why I trained full-time. This is the reason. I officially became a senior citizen last year. I'm 66 this year. And then thinking about reflecting upon my life as an immigrant and all the opportunities I have had through wonderful public education in the U.S., which was difficult back in Korea, where I grew up until I was 17, because we even had to pay tuition for middle school, public middle high school, and our family was poor. Then, what would be the best use of my time and not even talent? And I don't have much of a treasure, but time and talent. And I came to the determination that, especially when at least we're going to have 8 new school board members, because among the 12 school board members, only 4 are running for election. My experience and my unique perspective as an immigrant former Israeli, first one to go to college, growing up in true poverty, the father of 2 FCPS graduates, lawyer practicing locally for 39 years, with very tough.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I introduce myself, let me take this opportunity to thank the Al-Hijrah Islamic Center and also the Relief organization for hosting this event tonight. My name is Ahmed Hussein. I'm a father, I'm a husband, and also a grandfather. My 2 children are currently in Fairfax school, and I believe education is the foundation of our society. And I'm 100% involved in education for our children. And when I see what's happening in the county that has been mentioned before, the media, and all people are aware of it, I put my name to that. I'm a full-time job for an employee, and I'm running the independence. And based on that, I believe education is the foundation for our society, and our children are the future leaders that we are trying to educate. And our responsibility is to make sure that we provide adequate education, quality education, and also we need to be involved in that education as parents, to be and to become. So one of my priorities is to give our parents, including myself, an empower policy that empower them to be part of the school decision process. With that, I will stand by and answer your questions. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle. I wear a lot of hats. Sometimes I'm an entrepreneur. Sometimes I'm just a business owner that pays the bill. Sometimes I'm a husband to my wife. But the best hat that I wear, the best job that I do, is to be dad to girls. And that's really why I'm running for this position. As Ryan and Ilion have alluded to, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about SCPS has struggled with county. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt that Fairfax County, our community, we have a decision to make as we go forward. And I think that we're going to hear some different opinions on how we move forward. Let me tell you what I want. I want to look forward with innovation. I want to look forward to be hopeful. I want to look forward optimistically. And I want to look forward and come to you for what you're looking for out of your school. What are you looking for out of our public school? What are you looking for when you see us at that dais, when you see us in the school? They're your schools. They're not our schools. They should reflect you, the community. And one of my goals, one of my top priorities, is to bring this community together so we can come forward as one Fairfax, and we can address the challenges that we have all across Fairfax County. Because we need a school system that guarantees great education for every child across the county, regardless of zip code, in a safe and welcoming environment. Thank you. Ms. Brody.
Hi, my name is Maureen Brody. I am running at large across the whole county, so every vote counts. I'm a mother of 5 children who came through the system, the Fairfax County system, and I myself was born and raised here. And I graduated from Madison High School in 1981 in the glory days of the schools. And I remember quite well the excellent education that I got and the foundation that it gave me to walk out of school prepared to go to college. But I had many, many friends. I grew up in Vienna who did not go to college. They came out of school prepared to start businesses. And this is one of the things I'm very concerned about in the school system right now. The main things that motivated me to run are the lack of transparency in the schools so that parents can know what's going on. That was discovered during COVID, and we found out some very bad things. I am concerned that academic performance is on the decline and has been for about 10 years. I'm concerned about mental health issues in the schools. And I think we have some easy solutions. There are things that we can do immediately if we approach things competently with a broader perspective than what's been brought over the last few years. So I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hosting this. And I look forward to talking to you further.
Thank you. And Ms. Oko, you can actually use the mic that's right there, just so that you're fine. Go ahead.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Cassandra Alcoyne, and as stated, I have 2 children. They have gone through the Fairfax County Public School System. I myself graduated in Fairfax County at Lake Bragg many years ago. My husband and I decided to stay in this area and continue to raise our children because the Fairfax County Public School System had such a wonderful reputation as I was growing up. You know, families came here because businesses came here, and it was all about bringing, you know, lots of talent from around the globe to Fairfax County. What I'm concerned about and why I'm here today is because we're losing our competitive edge. And why we're losing our competitive edge is because our public school system is on the decline. The last 10 years, maybe the last 15 years, we've watched it go down, performance go down, achievement go down, and the politics rise. Politics have distracted our children from actually getting a very good education. So I'm very concerned about academic excellence, bringing back academic excellence is one of my priorities. I'm very concerned about parental rights not being part of the program. The recent model policies that just was put out by Governor Youngkin, our Superintendent Reed did not agree with them and is not changing his policies with regard to transgender students. And I'm also concerned about the budget. My background is a federal employee. I work in multi-million-dollar budgets, and I think we can do better. Thank you very much.
Salam alaikum. Peace be with you. My name is Linda Pellegrino. I'm running it for school board at large for several reasons. Number one, I'm concerned about the indoctrination of our children. I'm a strong proponent of parental rights. I believe that our children belong to us, not the government, okay? I think you should have the right to raise your children according to your beliefs and your convictions. And like I say, I'm a strong parental rights advocate. I also believe in strong academic, a merit-based system. And the SATs have gone down 27 points. We have a decline in our education system because the focus is not where it should be. The focus should be in helping all of you succeed based on merit so that you can learn math and science and everything that you need. Your children can learn that to achieve success. That's the most important goal of our school system, is to have successful children. And I also believe in respecting your rights. I believe we can do this in a fiscally responsible way. And I would just like to say, a lot of my neighbors down the street, I live right down the street. A lot of my friends and neighbors worship here. And I know that many of you have a conservative value system, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. If we can pass that mic back down, sorry. So what we'll do is we'll start with the first question, and I'm going to start again with Ms. Davis, and then the next question we'll start with Mr. McElveen, and then the next question we'll start with Mr. Moon, and we'll go down as we just did. Ms. Davis, this school district is one of the least performing parts of Fairfax County, whether it's Justice High School or Falls Church High School, or some of the elementary and middle feeder schools to those schools. There is a issue with justice in terms of parents have approached me about whether it's substance abuse, whether it's kids not being able to graduate. What will you do to make sure that the school system is fair across the board and not kids in Langley, for example, get better education than kids at Justice and Falls Church and other high schools?
Right, so a lot of the policies that are currently in place, and Mr. McDaniel mentioned one Fairfax, those started around the time the test scores started to plummet. So a lot of the equity initiatives sound nice, but cutting and making averaging students out on the back end isn't the way to do it. You have to start when the children are young by offering opportunity. We don't want equal outcomes, we want equal opportunities starting at very young ages. So, as I mentioned earlier, all 12 of the school board members are from the same political party, and they're focused more on politics and activism than on academics. So I would like to have a voice on the school board to return the conversation to the exact things that you're talking about.
Thank you. Ms. Rickleby.
So it's wonderful to be in this community, but as you mentioned, the needs are great here. Lynn Forest, down the street, as you may know, is one of our neediest schools in the county. Back in the day, and it may still be the case now, it had the most trailers in the school district, because we had between 18 and 22 trailers at that time. That's completely unacceptable. And I know my colleague, Mr. King, and I work really hard on that issue when you're on the school board. But the fact is we don't get enough bond funding from the school district to be able to eliminate those trailers. So that's just one piece of it. The other critical piece is needs-based funding. Our district has traditionally been very passionate about sending resources where they're needed the most, and that's what we have done. Clearly, we haven't done enough of that because they aren't trickling down as well as they should. So we need to continue putting resources to communities where they're most needed, like this one.
That's a very important question to answer. I came from a very poor family. Neither of my parents had much education. Father didn't even get to graduate from high school. My mother only had a secondary education. They had language barriers living in the Philippines. The other American dream was to send all of the children to college. And we did read college. And so my parents had achieved the American dream. And we three of us all achieved the American dream because we've been able to do something we're passionate about. And that American dream, we need to make sure that all our students and families in this country achieve the same American dream that my parents and I have dreamed. That these based staffing formula that I have so honored, we need to do even more than that. Because I know that opportunity gaps start from families. There are a lot of families who are not really familiar with the school system and kinds of information and tools they need to support their children learn better at home. And we need to be more outreaching to them to help them to help their children.
Thank you.
Good evening, thank you. You heard about some of the recommendations being given. The answer to the question was, what can we do after we get elected? The first priority I would do is allow the parents to be able to participate in the school system. If we separate the parent and the professional teachers or professional trainers, then the children we are not aware. So, as someone mentioned earlier, the school board right now is busy with politics. And we know what's the meeting, and that's what's happening. As you know, the policy in the Fairfax County School Board is one, whether it's a McLean, whether it's a Mount Vernon, or whether it's the district. So, what we need to do is allow the parents and the professional trainers to be able to involve and review what the children are going through and the challenges that the teachers are issuing. A teacher cannot manage themselves. We need a parent involved to be able to make decisions our children's day and day out activities. Thank you.
FCPS has 189,000 give or take students, 45,000 employee headcounts across a vast, diverse region in Northern Virginia. What we need help with is identifying the problem and recognizing that problems, as the question alluded to, in Langley are not the same as Chantilly or Oakville or Justice High School or Mount Vernon High School or West Westmoreland. That fundamentally is how we start to solve these problems. First, by identifying the problem. Mr. McElvey mentioned needs-based acting. Let me bring something else up. We have a lot of challenges in Fairfax County. There's so much pressure on our public schools to perform so many services that aren't core educational services, and that's the nature of it. The JLARC study that just came out a few months ago said the state stepped up and took their fair share. We just have an extra $500 million in funding right here in Fairfax County that we could spend to solve those problems. So we have to go at this full throated. We got to go to Richmond, we got to go to the Board of Supervisors, and we have to get targeted resources in our schools.
The fact is that there are a couple $100 million in bond funding that is sitting in a bank unused. We do have the money to solve these problems with trailers. We do have the money to get programs into the schools so that the basic educational needs of immigrant children, of low-performing children, of special needs children can be met. But we do not spend the money properly. It is squandered terribly. You would be shocked if you saw it. Since One Fairfax was implemented, the discrepancy in performance between our wealthiest schools and our poorest schools has driven up astronomically. We need that to end, and that's where you need a strong school board who stands for children over politics.
This has been a long-standing problem. This is not an issue that just came up yesterday. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm running, because I have lived here a very long time and I don't understand why we aren't doing better with all our children, all our schools across Fairfax County. It is a question to me. It is identifying the children who need the support. That's the first thing you do, making sure the money is allocated where it needs to go. We do have enough money. The JLARC study that was mentioned, we have managed, even with the state not giving us enough money, to get our taxes have been paying locally to make up the difference. Everything Fairfax County Public Schools has asked for, they have received. It is about how you prioritize those resources. And the last thing is, what are our approaches to the traditional education methods? We're doing a one-size-fits-all. We might need to think about some innovative approaches. Thank you.
My name is Linda Pellegrino, and I dedicated the last 35 years helping minority communities in the Bailey's Crossroads area for 17 years and in Springfield. I've taught ESL, I've tutored, I've done a lot of that. And one of the things we need to realize is certain communities need extra help with English communication, when English is a second language. So we need to be sensitive to the needs of specific school districts so that we can help those people the best. And my fellow candidates are right. There's plenty of money. We're the second richest county in the Commonwealth. So it's not a lack of money. It's a lack of perception and understanding of how to help these people and what the needs are, so we can raise the academic standards. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, if we can pass the mic now. We distributed a QR code for questions. People have questions. Please just scan that QR code, and the questions will come to me. So the first question, and we'll start this time with Mr. McElvey. Why are there so many barriers to allow and create volunteer opportunities for parents? What will you do specifically to facilitate parent interaction, transparency, involvement in our schools?
So that's a wonderful question. I think all of us up here believe that our parents are an intrinsic and important part of our educational experience here in Fairfax County. I will tell you, as one parent, I have not found that many barriers to getting involved. I'm a PTA member at my school. I'm an advocacy chair on my elementary school PTA, supporting my daughter and her classmates in that work. I also serve as a mentor in the Mentor Works program. Many people don't know about this program, but it's a partnership that Fairfax County has to bring mentors from the community into our schools. I'd encourage everyone to get involved with that. And one of the things, too, that I've seen is that there's a great passion among our students for bringing in community members to our schools. That they've started many homegrown programs, whether it's on mentoring or tutoring or other things. Another thing I would just say on the tutoring front is that Fairfax County this year is beginning to pay $48 an hour for anyone who wants to come in and tutor our students. So I encourage you to get involved in that as well.
Parents are the biggest and best partners in educating our children. And we need to always respect the parents' want our children's education in Fairfax County. As Mr. McAvoy stated, that if there is any willing parent volunteer who has a problem, so much difficulties in volunteering in schools, I really want to know. Because I, even as a former, even as a city school leader, I was able to volunteer as a parent, and my wife, volunteered when my kids were very small in the elementary center. We welcome all our parents to volunteer. If we need to do a better job in disseminating about these volunteer opportunities, it probably in many different languages, for the language minority parents, perhaps we need to pay a little closer attention and put in more resources to do that. We always welcome our parents.
Fairfax County is located in one of the richest areas in the country. As you know, we pay too much tax, and our budget for the county is $5.5 billion. 61% of that, $3.5 billion, goes to school. So there's no fund out. The challenge is the policy. When I get elected, the first thing I will sponsor is a policy empower the parents to be involved, the children day in, day out, to work with the professional trainers, to allow other external entities who are willing to support the children to participate. Right now, if someone tries to volunteer with the red tape, by the time that ID is approved, the school year finished. So there's too many red tape, and as a policy makers, the school board already does policy and manage the budget. Those two things that you do. So as a policy maker, we'll sponsor a policy, empower our parents, ourselves, to make sure we make a decision and take a process, decision-making process for our children.
Thank you. As I campaigned over the last several months through Fairfax, this has come up several times, and it's come up across all different corners of Fairfax County. It's not isolated to any particular region. And Ahmed alluded to an issue that we've identified, which is the security screening process. After COVID hit, a lot of that went digital, and some of the vendors that were providing that service got so backlogged on processing these fingerprints and security screening that, to your point, it took a long time to do that, and that needs to get fixed. I'm not an IT guy, but I've got to think there's somebody out there that's pretty smart that would like a contract to fix this problem that needs to get fixed. The second issue we talked about, is translating and communicating these opportunities. There is no shortage of opportunities for parents to get involved in our schools. Get involved with your PTA or PTO. Get involved with any other nonprofit organization that supports our schools as well. So it's not simply a matter of we have to go through the PTA or the PTO. There's dozens, if not 100 nonprofits across Fairfax County that you can get involved with that support your kids in their classroom. Thank you.
So as a parent and a PTA president, I discovered that there are barriers. I'm first off, as a school board member, as a community member, I'm not looking to the parents to do more in the schools, to come in and mentor and do things. If you want to, props to you. But there are three things that I have found. One is the technology. The technology that your children are using to get access to their assignments, to turn in their assignments, to understand their calendars, is a barrier. It is a barrier often to the children themselves, but it's certainly a barrier to me. Schoolology, all of those, whatever that word thing was, that they don't often work, and they're very hard to manipulate and keep track of. Secondarily, part of participation is being heard and taken seriously. When you show up at a school board meeting and you have 95% opposition to a certain action, and the board says, okay, thanks everybody, let's have a vote, and the board goes, yay, we're for this, after they've had 95% disapproval, then you know that the parents are not being heard. That is a barrier to participation. I think it's very important for us to eliminate those barriers. Thank you.
I agree with what Ms. Brody just said on the school board meetings.
Can we silence our phones, please? Thank you.
Parents, you get, the community and parents only get about 2 minutes to actually talk about something, and before that even community input comes in or parent input comes in, the school board has already made its decision. Teachers want the parents to come into the school. And I know that parents, if they have the time, they will do that. I believe it is the administration and all the red tape that it takes in order to get in there and be a volunteer and be a teacher's aide, etc. I myself volunteered whenever I could. I was a working professional, so it was a little bit more difficult for me, and I've always appreciated the families who are parents and who were able to do that. So as a school board member, I would give as much empowerment to the parents to be involved in all phases of their children's education.
As I said earlier, I spent 35 years volunteering in minority communities. I've also been minister of single parent ministry, tutored ESL and all of these things, because I enjoyed it. And if the teachers can welcome the parents in participating and respecting the parents' rights, I think they'll get a lot more participation. Because it should be a partnership between the teachers and the parents. And that would be the ideal, as long as everybody is respecting your values as parents. But, I mean, if you want participation, you've got to encourage it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we push the mic down here so Ms. Davis can answer? Thank you.
So the parents of younger children, their first several years of school were virtual. So those parents of young children don't even know they're allowed to go into the school and have lunch with their kids. They're still stymied from the school closures. And the other thing is the way this current school board talks, I listen to the working sessions, not just the school board meetings. And one of them said that parental involvement is just a trendy topic. And another one at a school board meeting said that her ears were closed to parents. So with the kind of attitude at the school board level that trickles down into the schools, parents don't feel comfortable being involved. And one of the first things they did was change a 3-minute public involvement. You can go make a 3-minute speech. The first thing they did was change it to 2 minutes. So parents don't feel welcome and they don't trust the current situation. I think that could change.
Thank you. Taha, I'm going to ask that this question get a 90-second, just to give candidates a little more time. One of the issues that obviously is a very hot topic right now is the issue of family life education. And our community, this has been a topic that is on a lot of people's minds, particularly when it comes to very conservative religious communities as it relates to everyone's rights in the schools. But one specific issue that has come up is our imam actually was on the Family Life Education School Board Subcommittee, and there was a survey that was conducted that essentially was asking parents whether family life education should be taught in mixed gender situations from grades 4 through 8. Of 3,300, if I remember the numbers correctly, parents and other community members that were surveyed, 89% said no. Of the teachers that teach family life education, there were teachers that were surveyed that teach family life education in our school system. Again, a 70% number of the teachers that were surveyed also said no, and yet the recommendation of the school system was still to combine that education. I'm going to ask each, and this relates to the issue of parent transparency in our school system. Where mistrust happens is because transparency, people don't feel there's enough transparency. What would you do, particularly on this issue of family life education, or where do you stand as it relates to family life education for under 8th grade, as well as opt-out policies for parents for above 8th grade? And we'll start with Mr. Moon.
Thank you for giving me 90 seconds.
Yes.
That's a very important question, and that is on the minds of a lot of people in Canada. As far as I am concerned, I'm a beneficiary of the Fairfax County school system's family education because I am, based upon my cultural background, I am very ill-equipped to provide same education in my home to my children. So I'm grateful that it's a school system that's providing certain important education to our children. I am a member of the church. A lot of my church members tend to concern me as well. So I understand. I hear from these parents from my church about their concerns. About the survey you mentioned, I heard about the same survey, but school board, as far as I understand, has not made a decision on this. This is just a recommendation from staff. School board, I believe, that is waiting for final recommendation from the superintendent. I am waiting to see what they will look like, but if I am fortunate enough to go back to the school board and make these kind of decisions, I will be respected. I will be respected in the parents' opinions, the survey results, but I'll wait to see what the final recommendation from the superintendent will be.
Thank you.
Very good question, and is the heart of the campaign this year. As we know, every single parent asking this question, and this question is actually every single chicken table tonight, and we'll be discussing about that. And if we leave anything tonight, that's the only question that you need to listen and understand how to deal with this question. And my view is, and Said mentioned that the board decided that night. Mr. Moon, Sandra, myself were present at the discussion when the board was talking about it. Mr. Moon is correct, we push it back because the high rejection was 85% for the parents. However, the board wanted to look at it, so there's agreement at the table, so they push it back. Let me go back to the question. As we know, right now, is age appropriate. Everything's age appropriate. I appreciate it to train the children what they need to do. But when that will be, and how do they collect that? Currently, right now, we have an opt-out. Our recommendation is personally, when I read recommendations, if I get to the board, when I get to the board, I will endorse opt-in. Because that will give us opportunity, the parents, to review what our children are being taught. So, to summarize, opt-in is my view. And also, we need to really evaluate and make sure our children are communicating to parents.
I want to start by saying that I was raised in the church, the Deep South, very religious family. I have nothing but the utmost respect for the deeply held religious beliefs across all communities. As I said during my opening statement, this is your school system. You're the one putting us in office. I want you, if I'm elected, to come to me and tell me how you feel about these issues, because these are deeply personal. They're tied into family values. They're tied into your religious values. Come to me. Come to any other member of the school board and tell them how you feel about that. Regarding the survey was one diagnostic tool. We need to be engaging multiple diagnostic tools, whether it's coming to you, whether it's setting up listening sessions, whether it's doing it at the PTA, PTO level inside the schools. We need to do more community outreach. I agree, communication is a critique that we can draw in this situation. And we need to do a better job overall of interfacing with the community. Because again, these are your schools, not ours. If we don't have your feedback, and if we're not communicating, if we're not working together as one team and one community, we're not going to get anywhere in the long run.
I was on the Curriculum Advisory Board for Family Life Education starting in 1993 when they first came up with this cockamamie stuff. And I was in the deep minority, but we knew that this was the camel's nose under the tent. This was a very slippery slope, and what we predicted was going to happen with family life education has come to pass. I would say, number one, we have to immediately change it to an opt-in system. Number two, we have to give parents access to the curriculum. Currently, you can go to the Fairfax County School and read it in a manual. You can go to the Fairfax City Library and read it, but you cannot get it online. They conceal what's being taught in the classroom. They give you broad perspectives, broad topics, but they conceal what will actually be taught in the classroom. And then if you go through a lot of hoops to get access to it, I would end that right away with the entire curriculum right online. It's also, they're introducing material that's not age appropriate. I'm sorry, they're introducing concepts that are contrary to our personal family values to children that we don't want them to learn. The parents are competent to teach this stuff at home. I have trust in you, and I think the school board needs to step up on your behalf and say, no, the parents know how to teach their children. If they don't, we can offer extracurricular, family-based education where the parents bring the children and are monitors of what is taught. Thank you.
The Family Life Education Program is 74 lessons, 83 hours, 4th to 12th grade. That's a lot of time for a subject that really is not about family. In fact, it's devoid of family at all. It does not talk about love and the connection to marriage and the creation of children. The school board is probably going to ignore that survey. It's just what they do. And I think that is just appalling. The first thing I would do on the school board is I would be looking at the family life education and determining and having a thorough review of what's really needed. It may just need some work on the biology part, and the rest of it goes back home to the family. Now, if families want this program to stay in, I would also offer that we would have an opt-in type of situation, because that would allow families actually and parents to actually look at the curriculum. I know as a parent, I trusted the system, and I had signed some papers, but they were automatically in the program, and I had to opt her out, my daughter out of it. So I think we have to do it in the reverse, and we say no until you have a chance to look at it, parents, and you decide whether you want your children to do it. But ultimately, I think we need a strong review of this program to determine what is really needed to be taught by our education system.
When I was the campaign manager for Carter Thomas in 1995, that was the first ever elected school board for Fairfax County for the first time. We were supporting opt-in if you want to do it. That you shouldn't have to know that you have to opt out. Because most parents back then, and even now, they don't know that they can opt out. They don't even know what their children are being taught. And it's very sexually explicit, age-inappropriate material. And I'm sure you would not support it, and I don't support it, okay? You are the parents, and you should be the ones in charge of your children's education, okay? Yes, it's public dollars, but the point is, many of these parents don't know that they can opt out. And their kids are in this program and they don't even know, and then they find out, oh my gosh, this sexually explicit stuff is not what I believe, and it should not be. And age, grades 4 to 8, that's just like insane. You know, it's just crazy that you would want to indoctrinate. That's what it is, indoctrination, a certain agenda, and I don't support it at all. Thank you.
You can pass the mic down so that we can have Ms. Davis and Mr. McElveen. Thank you.
So, I've been to some of the I've been to 2 family life education meetings. They're public meetings, you can attend, but it won't be very welcome. I tried to attend and I tried to take papers to see the agenda, and the parliamentarians spent the whole time trying to get them back from me. It's a public meeting, they're public papers, the taxpayers pay for them. And there's a few people here that aren't being quite honest about what they would do in this situation because they're beholden to a certain political party and you're not allowed to not conform to that. You can ask Ms. O'Mage, who tried to speak up at the last work session where they talked about this issue. She is a progressive Dem, but she could only go so far because what they were trying to do, she did not agree with her culture. And her voice was shaking, her leg was shaking, and she's not up here, is she? They didn't endorse her. So some of these people aren't allowed to say that they don't want this. They're going to have to conform if they're elected. I'm not beholden to anyone. And the superintendent actually said sometimes the majority doesn't rule when you're talking about the survey. So they will do what they want, no matter what a survey says, and you should all attend those meetings.
So I think this question comes down to respect. And although I'm not at the table at the dais now, I would just say that I'm sorry that your mom's voice, he does not feel like his voice was respected through this process. And I think ultimately it comes down to listening. It's up to whoever's on the school board to listen to perspectives, whether they agree with them or not. That's why we have public comment period. And that's part of being on the board, is listening to perspectives that differ from your own. I think the unfortunate thing about this survey and the conversation around it is it reinforces the idea that in Fairfax County, the board has a perspective, and then it goes out and surveys the community, and that doesn't change anything. I don't think that should be the case. I don't think that necessarily is the case. And I do disagree with some of the things that were said at the board table by the superintendent and others on this issue. And I would say also, I'm a strong believer in opt-out. What happened with Montgomery County is untenable. I hope we would never see that kind of situation here in Fairfax County. But the same is true with our books. We've seen a focus on book banning around the country. It's important that we have an opportunity for communities that disagree with books that are being taught to have the opportunity to opt out. So that's my comment.
Thank you. And for the record, Bard didn't run for re-election. Just for the record, right? Okay. Yeah, but she decided to not run. Just to make that clear. She's a member of our community, so I wanted to be sure everyone was aware of that. Okay. Thank you. So again, I'm going to ask for another 90 seconds because there is an issue that has gotten a lot of political attention surrounding bathrooms. The governor has released a model policy for Virginia that spoke a little bit about bathrooms. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a different perspective, and I'd really like for you to reflect on this. From our community's perspective, the Muslim community likely represents about 10% of the Fairfax County school system of our population. That's evidenced through data of how many students are absent during the Eid holidays, for example, which are the two major holidays that we have. And one of the concerns, regardless of all of the politics around who can use what bathroom, is for a Muslim girl, for example, when she goes into the bathroom, she is not allowed to change her veil if she is wearing a scarf in front of someone, even if they have transitioned. That rules still apply. So while we are accommodating some, which we should be accommodating folks, we are infringing on the the rights of others in the process of doing so. And this is a concern that we have heard from a lot of our parents. What would you do, or would you be open to individual bathrooms, for example, or other sorts of accommodations so that everyone feels like they are accommodated in our county school system without having their rights infringed upon it? We'll start with that.
Excellent. Good question. Thank you. Fairfax County is a diverse community, different background, different religions, and that's what makes it unique for our country. That's why so many of us come here to express our religious value, family value, and also the hunger for education. But when this being introduced now, and as Maureen mentioned that
young Muslim women or Jewish or others, Christianity, a female goes to the bathroom and transgender came, it's a privacy issue. It's a very privacy issue. So what can we do? Again, we don't have budget problem. And again, also our constitution allows every child have access right for education. So we cannot discriminate anybody. So we have to come to the program. These people have the parents, they decided or what they do to be there. So what I will do is to have unisex bathrooms. Those who need to be there, privately go there, do their business and come out. And do not disturb other ones who want their own gender. So I'll encourage that unisex. I'm sure this question comes there, who's going to budget and schools. We have accommodated so many issues. If this is the issue, we need to focus education and just allow unisex bathrooms for those who need to be there. Thank you.
There was a case in the last couple of years, you may remember the name, Gavin Grimm, went to the Fourth Circuit. This actually was down the road, I think in Fredericksburg or some county, one of the counties downstate, went to the Fourth Circuit. And it was about this issue, generally speaking. And the Fourth Circuit said that Gavin Grimm is a transgender person. They have the right to use the bathroom that they would choose to use. The Supreme Court, through procedure, upheld that. To go to court, it was not reviewed. They upheld that. So we have to balance, on the one hand, the legality of this as a large school system. On the other hand, as Mr. Hussain alluded to, we have to balance and respect the rights of everybody. And in a community as large and diverse as ours, if it's not a rub on this issue, it's going to be a rub on other issues. And I think that if we look at these issues through accommodation, through respect, through civility, through working together, through trying to bring everybody to the table as a team when these challenges come forward, that's the lens through which we have to look at these issues. Because I can tell you something, if we're not having this argument today about LGBTQ kids or about transgender kids, we will be having this argument tomorrow about another group or another instance or another accommodation. And if we can work together to get through these challenges, that's going to be the long-term solution to this.
When I was at Lee High School, which is now Lewis, and I was PTA president, I had a lady come up to me and explain to me, this was before this became the thing, to be some other gender than what you were born. She was concerned because her daughter was a boy. And so we immediately went to the principal and asked, is it possible for this student to use the single-use bathrooms in the office so that nobody is put in an uncomfortable position? And that included changing for gym and athletics as well. Because we recognized immediately that it's not only the Muslim community, the Catholic community is in the same boat. We really emphasize modesty and protecting our bodies. And that's not only for our sake, but it's for the sake of other people as well. And that policy worked very well. We treated the child with respect. We treated the community with respect. We were kind to the parents, and it was a great solution. We do not have to victimize the rest of the student body for 1 or 2 or 3 children.
This is one of the disturbing things about what Dr. Reed just did. When she decided that she was not going to conform or, to the 2023 model policies document that just came out of Virginia Department of Education, which, by the way, said bathrooms will be, boys will go in one bathroom, girls will go in another bathroom, and there is an option for taking and building single-use bathrooms for anybody. So I believe we can do that. Budgetarily, there's no reason why we can't do that. I think if we do that and we go back to model policies and institute everything that was actually put in this time for 2023, which includes a lot of parent involvement in discussions on gender with their children and not having the school take that over, we will be a lot further along. And that will take everybody's, that respects everybody. That respects not just the child who is transgender or feels a transgender. It respects all children who are in the school system, which is a majority. Thank you very much.
I've noticed this policy, not just in the public schools, I'm talking about like at Kaiser Permanente, they have all gender bathrooms, but it's an individual bathroom. So that way I would not feel intimidated. But as a female, I've been in a situation where a man was in the bathroom with me and I did not feel comfortable. We should not be allowing our daughters to feel victimized. And I think that is a very good solution, that you can have boys' bathrooms, girls' bathrooms, and if you believe that you're transgender, you can go into an individual bathroom. That way you're not intimidating the females and making them feel uncomfortable, because it did make me feel uncomfortable. Thank you.
Can we pass the mic now?
So let's take a step back before the child's in the bathroom, okay? So right now, what happens is that a child can just go in and assert that they're a different gender. They don't have to have parental sign off. They don't have to have a diagnosis. Let's compare that to somebody that has dyslexia. They have to jump through so many hoops to get a care team. It takes months and months, and in the meantime, they're getting further and further behind on reading. So even before the children are in a bathroom, they can choose one day and decide there's no guardrails. And that's the problem with the whole school board right now. Nobody's there to say this doesn't make sense. And the governor, a lot of people want to say that what he's trying to do is about hate, but he's just trying to, somebody needs to sign off on this. It's common sense.
So history kind of works in cycles, and life works in cycles. So the first issue I ever dealt with in Fairfax County advocacy was actually on bathroom privacy. So when I was a high school student, I was president of my class at Marshall High School. We encountered a situation where they had removed all the stall doors from the bathrooms in the school. And this was the result of 1980s, 1990s policy where administrators thought it was a good idea as part of the Just Say No to Drugs movement to prevent kids from going to the bathroom to do drugs. They just yank off the stall doors. Anyway, the result of that was we rallied and we were able to get the stall doors put back. But ultimately, I think that speaks to the importance of ensuring all of our students, no matter their background, have privacy in the restroom. Ultimately, whether it's an LGBTQ student or a cisgender student, people just want to go to the bathroom in privacy. So that's why I support the idea of moving toward unisex bathrooms. It's going to be expensive, but I think as we look for the future renovation cycles in schools, we can see what's going to be possible there.
I think we owe it to all our students to provide comfortable and safe learning environment. Ms. Rawley mentioned about the practice at the high school. That's perfectly fine solution. To me, and that's what the should take. If and when a student comes to counselor and talks about difficulty or failure for using bathroom, we should find the solution to make that student's life easier than how the student is going through. As far as the transgender students' choice of bathroom is concerned, the litigation in Gloucester County, the Gavin case, that started from 2017 to went until 2021 and went to Supreme Court twice. That is the law of the land. Transgender students cannot be forced to use unisex bathroom. They have a right to go to a bathroom that matches their gender identity. That's the law of the nation. So we need to abide by the law. We need to protect the rights of those transgender students. But unisex bathroom approach, single-use bathroom approach, that's a perfect solution.
question. We'll do a 30-second for this because this is just going to be a yes or no. And then we'll go back to the difficult ones. So I have a question here, and this is going to be a yes or no, 30 seconds. Would you support parental committees with school committees to review books in libraries? Yes or no? Sure.
Those already exist, and it's fair to get on them. Those committees are in existence. Good luck if you can figure out how to do it. They're run by the school board, and it's a secret.
So if the question is just a sole parent board, is that the question?
So I got a question from the audience. Parental and school committees to review books in libraries.
So currently today, you do have a parent, librarian, teacher for 222 doing that. I would ask that we have more parents involved.
Thank you.
Yes, I strongly support parental rights, and I would like to see more parental involvement. It's kind of difficult, like my colleagues have said, when they're discouraged and kind of shut out or muted, so to speak. But as a strong proponent of parental rights, I would appreciate it. Yes.
Let me pass the mic down. No, we've got to come down to Ms. Davis, and then we'll come back to you.
So we need to start the conversation at a common point. Nobody's trying to ban literature. I hear this every day when I'm standing on the streets campaigning. The books in the library, some of them, are pornography in cartoon form. I don't have to explain it to you. I carry them around in here. If you want to see them afterwards, you can see exactly what we're talking about. So yes, there needs to be some more guardrails in that area.
Thank you.
Sure, yes.
Thank you.
I always welcome parents input.
Thank you.
I'll say yes, and earlier I mentioned that I'll sponsor a policy advocating parental power to participate in decision-making process for the school.
Okay, I'm going to take an executive decision because that was a yes or no, and I'm going to start again with Mr. McDaniel, then go to Mr. Brody, then we'll continue. Next question is, there have been some lingering COVID-related issues with academics. SAT scores are down across the county. There is a teacher shortage that exists. What specific policies would you do? And Taha, we can do 90 for this one also because this is important. What specific policies would you do to fix academics and improve teacher retainage or hire more teachers?
90 seconds for all that.
Yes.
If I answer this question correctly, I'm going to copyright my solutions and go sell it. We have struggles out of COVID. There's no secret there. COVID exacerbated issues that we had. COVID hit, and now we have issues to the nth degree. We have learning losses directly related to that. When you take kids out of classrooms and put them virtual, that's going to create academic struggles, and we're seeing that manifest itself, as we said with SAT scores. SAT scores are down across the country, and I think part of that is simply that we're not teaching the test anymore. Colleges are moving away from SAT, standardized tests, as prime curriculums. But SATs aside, you hit the nail on the head by saying teachers. It boils down to teachers. You can have the best curriculum, the best textbooks, the best technology, but if you don't have a passionate, empowered, professional, respected, and appreciated teacher in a classroom that's paid a fair wage, that's given fair compensation, and that's given the autonomy to just let them teach. If we don't solve that problem, and we have a serious problem coming up with teacher recruitment and retention that has really flown under the radar. It's not just COVID. Look around us. Look at our world. It is terrifying for some teachers to just do their job because the political environment has been created. If we solve the teacher problem, we solve the academic problem.
It's my opinion that COVID revealed, it was a blessing to us because it revealed much about what was going on in the schools. I'm sorry that, yes, indeed, students are behind, but that could easily be fixed within one academic year by transferring some of the time that is spent during the day that's wasted on some of these boondoggle programs like social emotional learning, family life education, and if those were focused back on remedial education to get the kids back up to where they should be, I think we would see that problem solved right away. And maybe we'll talk about teacher retention later, because I also think that's outside the COVID problems.
So the learning loss was just an addition to what was happening prior to COVID. Scores were already going down in reading and math efficiency for our children. SAT scores did go down. SAT scores, we have half of our schools are below the average of SCPS. And even though SAT scores might not be considered for many colleges, it is a performance measure. So we still have a viable. What I would do specifically when it comes to learning loss, I would be looking at other approaches. We have to keep our teachers, yes, we have to keep our teachers in this area. But we have to look at how our children, who really needs the support. We can't have a one-size-fits-all. I think every child can have one. We have to identify them. Teachers are good at that. We can have an assessment test that will start working. We have to get back to the fundamentals of math, reading, and writing. And let's move in that direction. For teachers are burdened with a lot of paperwork. They do not feel like the administration really takes care of them. I had a teacher tell me that she was very concerned about the fact that her academic standard was 50%. That a child would walk into the classroom and get 50%. I had another teacher tell me behavioral problems since COVID, as a result of the COVID decision by the school board. He was having many children walk out of the classroom and it was very hard. So we have a lot there. So we need the teachers. We need the teachers to stay. We need to give them what they need unburdened. So
Thank you.
I graduated summa cum laude with a double major at George Washington University in biology and music. That was in the day when we actually interacted with people. We didn't do it by Zoom. And I think technology has done us a disservice. Yes, you can ask questions in the chat box, and yes, you can do all these nice, wonderful things, but the truth is, I went back and took a script writing class, and it was, they call it hybrid, it's basically an online class, and it's much more difficult. And just imagine if you're a lot younger, and you're trying to struggle with trying to learn online, the interaction, the relationship, the personal one-on-one, just wasn't there. And I think that was a part of the problem with COVID. They were struggling that way. It also was an opportunity for the parents to find out some of the things that were going on, and they became more aware. So that was a good thing. But I'd say the use of technology sometimes can be very frustrating, and I think that's part of the problem. And also, teachers. Quite honestly, I think there are some teachers that are not pleased with some of the ideological rules. And not all teachers support the liberal agenda, shall we say. And they've gotten alienated from that. I know some people like that. So, I would just say we need to have personal interaction. Thank you.
Thank you. Will we pass that mic now?
Again, this problem, we're in the same issue. The school boards all the same line of thinking. They took a program called tutor.com, it's like a Band-Aid, slapped it on the learning loss and kept moving with what they wanted to talk about. So instead of doing things like they hired 5 new equity trainers in this budget instead of 5 new reading specialists. Their priorities are backwards. The other thing is we're chasing conservative teachers away. The one Fairfax that one of us keeps mentioning, a lot of teachers aren't comfortable with that, and they're not comfortable hiding things from parents, and so they're going to quit. need diversity on the school board.
So when it comes to remediation and correcting the learning loss that took place during the pandemic, we need to look for creative solutions. And to be frank, as I think you've heard up here tonight, some of the ways that our ESSER funds were spent, funds that we got from the federal government to work to ameliorate that learning loss, were not necessarily spent the way I would like to see them spent. I think we need to double down on summer school is one thing. We haven't put enough money toward that to bring back the students that had that learning loss during the pandemic. Additionally, one of the good things that the school system has done is they've created a flexible learning time calendar so that students that have to work during the day have the opportunity to learn, to go to school later in the day or in the evening. So that's a positive. But when it comes to teachers, my father actually retired during the pandemic at the age of 81. He was a longtime teacher at Keller Middle School. It got to be too much. It was just too much stress to have to deal with the online learning piece of things. And so I see him as kind of an example of what's really, it's just our teachers have been run down over the past several years. And it comes back to mental health. So it's not just about mental health for students, but also for our teachers. We need to continue to invest in that and make sure all of our employees and students have access to it.
Let me first talk about teacher shortage. Teacher shortage issue is a national issue. This is a national crisis. I was born and grew up in Korea where teachers got the utmost respect from parents and students and peers. That kind of respect does not exist here in the U.S. Even here in Fairfax, that needs to change. Recently, I was talking to a couple of young people. One of them quit teaching, a couple of members of my church, whom I used to teach, as a Sunday school teacher, that I dearly love. One quit sadly quit teaching. Another one is about to quit. We were having a conversation, kind of different these young teachers would have, and those elected to the board, including compensation, workload, a lack of sufficient training in being able to interact with the parents, administrators, and not having enough planning time. Those are all affecting these young people. A lot of teachers are leaving the field of education. This is a national crisis. As far as an academic learning loss and widening the children is concerned, what happened during the pandemic about that? Those families who have resources and well-educated parents were able to help their children better than those who did not. That's what we need to put additional resources provided. I'm a member.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
Thank you.
Let me start with the teacher shortage. As Mr. Yu said that, I will recognize that teacher is a national security issue. As you know, nowadays, we heard about the news, national security issue. They're going to give some budget. We are short in the military. What do? They give you incentive, right? You serve the country, they pay you tuition, they give you school allowance. So, you heard now, my field cybersecurity. For the last 21 years, I've been cybersecurity program. We currently short cybersecurity programs. We're doing that. What we come out with? We come out with a scholarship for service. They go and pay your tuition, you study cybersecurity program, and then you work with the government for 4 years or 3 years or 5 years. So our institute, I know Teachers for Education was there, but I will take that seriously. Anybody who's going to be teaching school, to allow them to be able to government pay their allowance, education, and also allow their family to spend time. So that my family foreign service, and we were in India, U.S. Embassy in India, Delhi. And the first day our kids went to American school in India, we met the teacher who left Fairfax. And this question came up, why are you here? She said, I couldn't pay my mortgage, my loan, student loan, and my rent. So go back to the tuition, SAT. So I disagree with my colleagues saying that SAT did not go down. It actually went down, and when the county current board was asked, what happened to COVID is a COVID. At the end of the day, the SAT for Fairfax County for the last 5 years, 27 points went down. And if you look at the community around us, Montgomery County, Loudoun County, they all went up either 3% or 5%.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we've reached the end. I had a couple more questions, but we can address them in person regarding Muslim students and accommodations for prayer and whatnot, because it's not uniformly applied. But what I'm going to do now is we'll start with Ms. Brody. You'll get 60 seconds to sort of do your closing pitch, if you will. So all of us will have 60 seconds. We'll go down, and then we'll end with Mr. McCann.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I just want to say that I guess if you wanted to define me and what I'm running on, it's empowering the parents to actually serve as the primary educators, the authorities over your children, whether that's medical decisions, whether that's what they see in school, whether that's the days that they take off, how they're taught. I think that the parents have got to have that authority back, and this whole idea of keeping things secret from parents has got to end. That's my primary issue, but returning the schools back to their academic glory. When I went there, people were prepared to either go to college or start a business when they walked out of school. It's absolutely necessary. It's all immediately doable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me here. I enjoyed listening to all of my colleagues. So I am, my platform is this. We have an opportunity this is our opportunity to get our schools back on track. We need to redirect our schools away from all the political nonsense, if you will, and move it back to where we really need to be. And that's teaching our children the fundamentals so that they can go off into the world and be skilled, whether they go to college, whether they go in the military, or et cetera, and they can still be competitive in the global environment that we have today. I have a background in working in public service. I have leadership background in working with multi-billion-dollar budgets, running organizations, managing human resources, and I think this board needs some skills like that. So that is what I'm coming to the school board with, to bring those and to get our schools back to academic excellence and get our parents back engaged into the school system. Thank you.
My focus is parental rights and your right to raise your children the way you want with your values. And I believe that we can have a much higher merit-based system if we stop focusing on political agendas and start focusing on academics. Academics is the key to success for everybody. I've had a lot of relationships with people, foreign nationals, and I can see how they succeed by focusing on things that count. And the things that count are academics. You know, anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. We pass the mic now.
We cannot afford to have 4 more years of everybody being of the same political party on the public school board. It doesn't make sense. We can't do it. We can't do it. I chose purple for my campaign because I'm a mix between red and blue. I'm endorsed by the Fairfax County Parents Association. I used to be a Democrat until I tried to get schools open, and they didn't agree that they should be open in a timely fashion. And I'm also endorsed by the Fairfax County Republicans, even though I'm an independent. They don't force me to think and do exactly everything they do. And that's what the school board needs, is somebody who's not beholden to anybody. I'll be on your ballot starting September 22nd, and I hope you'll vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think what we've heard tonight is that there are many opinions up here, and the community has very much been divided as a result of the pandemic and what we've been through the past few years. What I want to see in my school board and what I promise you want to provide is someone who will listen to your perspectives, respect your perspectives, and make sure then we are focused on bringing our community back together, because at this time, that is really the most important thing we can do. And that requires putting parent voice at the center, it requires putting student voice at the center, and putting our diverse community's voices at the center. I've always respected everyone who has come to speak before the board, and I promise that as your school board member, I will continue to do that. Thank you.
As I stated earlier, I did achieve American dream through a good public education provided to me, to an immigrant from a poor and third world country, Korea back in 1974. And my children will receive an excellent education in this country. They are kids and grants, going to Ivy schools, they are following their passion. But I want this kind of opportunity to occur to every one of our students. Every one of our students is entitled to, have a right to achieve their own American dream. We, the school board, to our moving in the next world, owe it to every one of those students for their success. And my 20 years of experience on the board, during that time as a former ESS student, first on the family for economies, and practicing attorney, and this will be all helpful to the work of the board, when many of them will be the first time school members.
Thank you.
First, let me thank Say, the moderator, and also the community came here tonight hosting us. We appreciate it, and this is a very important time in time, and we're talking about children, our future leaders. And I appreciate this is the best time, either 1 hour or 2 hours you're here, that you spend with your life. 8 of us here, you'll be, November 7th, we'll vote 3 people. 3 people will get to the vote. I'm independent. I believe everybody here is supported by the Republican or the Democrat. You will probably see people are whispering, do that, do that. I'm independent. I'm here to take your voice and to go to the table and focus family value, parental rights, academic excellence. And with your permission, I look for your vote September for primary election, but also November 7th for your vote. I appreciate it. And I do have 2 children in school. I'm doing it because of that and your children for my children. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for having us tonight. I want to go back to what I said in my opening statement. I think you've heard what I'm going to say, and you've seen this tonight. We have a choice. This election is a choice. We can come out of COVID, we can face these challenges head on through innovation, through collaboration, through teamwork, through working together in hope and with optimism, or we can hash out political grievances. That's the option that you face. We've talked about FLE that you can opt out of. We've talked about having input on books. We've talked about getting involved in PTAs and PTOs. We can do all of that. You know why we can do that? Because you voters speak every 4 years, and you put in school boards that put in place policies that do that. Those policies are in place now, and if you put me in the school board, I can guarantee you I will protect those policies that keep your voice at the center of everything that we do as a school system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we get a round of applause for everybody? Thank everybody. The prayer has started. For the candidates, please feel free to hang around. If you'd like to observe the prayer, you're more than welcome to